Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the match preview. Everton versus Crystal Palace in a rare 3 o'clock Saturday game at Goodison Park. And a big game now for Everton. 3 defeats on the run. It feels like, without over-egging it, it does feel like this is a big game, doesn't it, John, for Saturday?
Important matters first, though, right? Can we have new sofas?
We will, but let's get back onto Palace.
Just this sofa.
A huge game now, really.
He gets the best sofa, right? Yeah. It is a huge game on the back of 3 defeats. It's also a team, in the sense of mid-table-ish, who we should measure ourselves against more appropriately, I suppose. Was it with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? No, 3, 4, 5, 6, isn't it? So 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place, 6th place. 4 of the 5 games we lost are them. Yeah. So if we're in half full mode, we can say, well, not quite Mashiri's expected losses.
No.
And having seen the performances, very frustrating.
Yeah.
We've just been talking about last night, haven't we? But Palace, I think, I won't say the manager, because I think they'd be mad to start messing about there, but the team and the squad would be under serious pressure if we were to lose at the weekend, which I don't think we will, but we'll probably concede. But it is a big game, absolutely.
This is obviously Crystal Palace have made a habit of coming from behind this season. No team has they took 9 points.
We came from behind quite well last season.
Well, we did, but we'll get onto that in a minute. But obviously this season they've shown that resilience.
They
took 9 points.
That's more than anyone else, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
From losing positions. So even if Everton were to get ahead at the weekend, it doesn't mean. Unlike Newcastle Everton this week, it was almost cut and dried when they went ahead. It wouldn't be the same for us. But do you think, obviously Everton have lost the 3 games and there's been varying levels of performance in it. But is the time come now for Frank Lampard to maybe do something slightly different with the side? Because obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin's available again now. But we had 1 attempt at goal the other night, which to me is just abysmal.
Totally. We can... Some of the players pick themselves, don't they? Right. So the roles or the players who has choices over, there's not very many of them. So I suppose Iwobi's definitely going to start. DCL should definitely start because he started last night, and therefore and all that sort of stuff. So I think my bigotry of you can't have Gordon and Gray in the same team. So to me, he has to make a decision. So,
one of them. Yeah.
So Anthony goes on the bench, and then it's who do you put in that place? So that's one thing. The other one with this, we're solid, but it's very bland. Is does he try and do something with one of the fullbacks, or I don't think he'd do it with both. Right. So then you're into perhaps playing Mason. I don't know, right back, but I'm not convinced about that one. I think I'd be more readily putting Vinagre in perhaps as an attacking fullback to try and build on that. Let's get the ball across. Not route 1, plan 1 or plan A. Let's see if we can get DCL some decent service, and we've got players around him who can play off that. So
the only thing what he might think with that is obviously Crystal Palace are a big side. Vinagre's not very Miko's much bigger than him.
Yeah.
Aerially, they're obviously a threat.
Well, we're the biggest side in the Premier League, aren't we?
Not if you take Michaelenko out.
That's what I mean. If you start taking out your 6'1", that's what I mean. If you take your 6'1" fullback out and put a 5'7" one in, but we're not lacking height.
So maybe that comes into it. But I think you're right with in terms of the forward issues, because I think most people would accept that Everton have got issues in the final. I think the manager accepts Everton have got issues in the final third, just with the players they've got. I think we need the 1 attempt at goal should tell you everything you need to know about that in the Premier League games. Is outrageous. And we do have to come up with a way of causing Palace problems.
Is it back to front then? So in the sense of, we could do it now, decide who the front 3 are, because we're assuming we're still really going to play 4-3-3, yeah?
Yeah.
Or are you assuming that?
I think they'll...
So a front 3 of Iwobi, DCL, Gordon, Demarai Gray.
Yeah,
that would be different.
Bit
of sacrifice for Iwobi because it's not really his thing.
Yeah. Well, what that enables you to do
Garner
then is put James Garner in.
Yeah, put Garner in alongside Garner.
Yeah, and Onana.
Yeah.
And then you've
also...
So
they're your mid-3.
Yeah. You've got those 3. Then you've also got then maybe Abdoulaye Doucouré off the bench who's naturally likes to go forward, which again
And that was what we were lacking in some respects last night with ball carriers, wasn't it? Because the wide guys weren't doing it.
No.
They weren't even tucking in and trying to pick the ball up in midfield and move it.
But there has got to be.
And Alex had a stinker there for it. He wasn't doing it. So.
You've got to have a thought process, haven't you, though, if you're the coaching staff for this one, of like, how can we put these under pressure? You mentioned the game before, the last time we played Crystal Palace was the biggest games in Everton's history, probably, at Goodison Park. Said one of them.
Absolutely.
In terms of we've obviously played cup finals and won league titles and all, but in terms of what it meant.
Oh, absolutely.
It was incredible, and we give them a 2-goal lead and we're able to peg it back, but we don't want to be certainly doing that this weekend. But what we did that night was we did get balls into the box.
We did.
The 3 goals were balls into the box, weren't they? The first one was a free kick, which Holgate kept alive and Keane scored. The second one was a ball over, which Dele Alli knocked down and Richarlison smashed in. And the third one was a cross into the box with Dom finish. So, we showed last year against them that that's how you score goals. And it just is a bit weird at the moment, the way we don't seem to have a defined attacking idea. It seems off the cuff to me, and I don't think you can be off the cuff.
I think it's I agree, sort of, but I think there's. You say it's off the cuff, i.e. there's no plan, and yet Demarai Gray takes every goddamn corner, every goddamn free kick, and for games and games and games, it's not been very good, So perhaps James Garner's in the team. You got some variety there as well. So that would be 2 or 3 player changes, wouldn't it? I think.
Yeah, I think I am with you because I look at Anthony Gordon and Demarai Gray as they both do the same thing. Yeah. Neither of them is a prolific goal scorer. Neither of them is a prolific crosser of the ball, but Gray does it more. They don't hug the touchline and stretch the pitch.
That's true.
But they also don't run alongside the striker either.
No.
So they play in the half spaces. But,
that's right.
But they don't actually affect the game enough.
And because of Anthony's lethargy that he's suffering from at the moment, neither of them do much off the ball either.
Well, we saw in midweek with Everton losing at Newcastle, Demarai Gray is walking the opposite way, while Almiron is standing 3 foot away from him, and he obviously scores the goal because Gray reacts late. And so I think the manager would be, in my opinion, what I would do this weekend is change that up. Is go, right, we've just played 3 games. We've had 1 shot on target in the 3 games. That is it. If Everton had left 5 goals in every game in the last 3 games, he'd change the defence, wouldn't he?
Of course he would.
So at the other end, we're not doing what you're there for. You're there to... Anthony Gordon, Demarai Gray, there to score goals and create goals. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's there to score goals, or Neil Maupay, if that's who it was to be. They're there to put the ball in the net. None of them are doing it.
Yeah.
So for me, it would be a change. And like you said, I have been reluctant to move Iwobi because I think he's been very good in the middle of the park, but the needs of the team sometimes are greater. And one thing Alex Iwobi will do is he will try to put balls into the box, or he will try to thread a ball through, which I don't think we get off Anthony Gordon or Demarai Gray. We get someone in them who will pick the ball up and run with it. And it's that last bit that I don't understand with either of them. It's, just you'd be saying to them, just go past your fullback and put it in. Yeah. And if you get the opportunity to have a shot every now and again, do that as well. Yeah. But
you can never say never, but they never seem to try and go outside, do they? Either of them. Therefore, they always want to do the twinkle toes along the front of the box, when they've just got a line of defenders going, go on then.
Exactly.
And
the other thing that doesn't help them, John, is because our fullbacks don't overlap, you're not even getting the lad who's marking the winger off. I was thinking, do I go with him?
With
There's no
runner,
decoy.
You could have at least one runner.
So running across the box to try and get a shot, it's never happened because you've got no one on the outside here.
So. I do fear, though, when we listen to the what the manager says post-match and all that sort of stuff, around being the caution around DCL, whether they'll even think they want to start him twice in 3 days.
I would have said that normally, but he did say he took him off because we've got Palace at the weekend.
Oh, that's good. Because
you haven't seen that, have you? So he did say that, and that made me think, so he's thinking
for that.
Keeping him for Saturday then. Not necessarily to be a sub.
Sure.
I think he's thinking, well, we get another 70 minutes out of him.
But he has to start,
but he's got to, hasn't he?
Because he's going to stay fragile in his head if he keeps thinking he's getting wrapped up in in a warm blanket, you know.
Let's have a look at, obviously we've just talked about
some
some changes. Well, this is the Everton side that played against Newcastle the other night.
Right, okay.
So obviously that back four, even though I kind of agree with you, there's choices to be made, maybe a full-back. I think he might stay with that back four. I think in midfield, there is a case to either take...
Can Seamus do 3 in a week?
I don't know, but whether it's... I mean, Mason Holgate is obviously an option. Alex Iwobi has played there and done very well there, so he could be an option.
I mean, having said that, because
Coleman's very good against Zaha normally.
I was going to say that because he sort of got the hex on him to some degree.
Fingers crossed. That can.
Yeah,
he's been good against them recently.
Yeah,
let's leave it at that.
And the manager, in recent times at least, seems to our manager has an aversion to using all his subs. So in old money, when there was only 3, you'd say, well, if Seamus can't last it, then you've wasted a sub. But you haven't really when you've got 5. Not when
you've got 5.
Yeah,
and if it's, if he's looking tired, Holgate can go on. I think
the
midfield, like I said, there's definitely a case now for James Garner, I
think so,
to come in and start. And it's whether or not he thinks, well, I'll take a Idrissa Gueye out the side, but I don't think I would in this stage, but he may well do. Or the Alex Iwobi thing is the other one, push Alex wide. To
create a space.
Because also what he then does is he protects your fullback as well because of his work rate.
Seamus would be better off with Alex in front of him than one of the other 2.
Well, exactly. And then if you've got James Garner getting on the ball,
and
Iwobi's getting into space, Garner is someone who likes to pop it off and get it back. And like you mentioned before, set pieces, very good at Forest last year with the dead ball. So that could be what the manager does. Crystal Palace, from them, let's have a look how they lined up in their victory over Wolves the other night. 4 at the back, they had Joel Ward, Anderson, Gui and Tyrek Mitchell.
Can't all play,
Schlupp, Decore and Eze. Check Decore is suspended for this game, so they've got to make at least one change there. Eze, who has been in good form of late, and then a very exciting front 3 of Wilf Zaha, Oderson Edouard and Elise as well, who's another good young player. And they're very dynamic, Crystal Palace.
They are, aren't they?
Big, physical, quick players. But we must remember, I think they're 3 points ahead of Everton currently in the league, or 3 or 4 points. So it's not like Man City again, it's a winnable game. Everton will have to be at the best to beat them. And
that's on the back of 7 points in the last 3 games, isn't it?
They had a real kickstart.
I always think of them as hot and cold. You know, they go through 3, 4, 5 games maybe doing okay, and then 3, 4, 5 games being pretty poor.
Yeah, and then
the net result is they end up mid-table.
Yeah, but a good Premier League side. Their danger man we've identified, Wilf Zaha as always. So far this season,
he scored 5.
9 games, 5 goals, 1 assist. And Wilf Zaha shots per game is more than what Everton had at Newcastle. He's averaging
3 times as much.
2.9 shots per game currently. Listen, he's a very exciting player. He's a frustrating player. He's horrible at times when you're because he's an opposition player. He cries and moans and throws himself on the floor, but he does get a lot of heavy treatment as well. He's one of those players. He does get kicked, but he also goes down a little bit easy. But he is a good player, and obviously Everton tried to get him a few years ago, and I think he would have made a huge difference to Everton at that time as well, just given the way he travels with the ball. But he's doing well this year.
Yeah, he had it then and he's got it now, something we've not had in between.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
So it is going to be a difficult game. But is this a game, just before we finish, is this a game where you are, even though Crystal Palace will present issues for us, because they will, they've got some good firepower, is this a game, even though Everton have been struggling with goals, that you look at and think, this is a game we really have to win because it's a home game against a team who may or may not be within touching distance.
Absolutely. And you've got to put that losing streak away. And we're going into a number of 3 or 4 winnable games in the Carabao Cup game as well. And you could just do what we've just done. We could go on a 4 or 5 match unbeaten run. And we become what I've just said, Palace are. 500 defeated, lose 3. 500 defeated, lose 3. But we do that for a couple of cycles and we're rock solid for this season. Then, so.
And then, of course, that's you going into that World Cup break. Then, aren't you?
And make use of that break.
And you're refocused.
Absolutely.
There you go. It's gonna be a tough game. Always is against Palace. Always a tight game. from an Everton perspective, it's a game we feel we can win, but it will be a difficult one. I'm quite sure Crystal Palace fans watching this will be thinking, yeah, we can come and beat you as well, which they can, of course, but be a tough game. But big thanks to John. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. You're feeling confident if you're an Evertonian, you're feeling confident if you're a Palace fan, let us know. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to become a Toffee TV Premier member, the link is in the description, the QR code is on the screen now. See you later.